Favorite productions I've been a part of. Aladdin is the most fun because I have every trick in the book. It's Disney, so I have all the support. I like things that challenge the audience, and so I did the show at the Public last year called First Daughter Suite, and it's about the president's wives. Very cue heavy because I was always retiming everyone as they moved around stage, so it sounded unamplified, which is rare for my shows. But it was all about connecting the audience to these amazing women and watching the audience every night. The last president is Barbara Bush, and she tells the story of her daughter who died, and most people don't even know this happened. And she tells the story as this woman who's playing the daughter is dancing around, and the audience would just be weeping. I mean, there was nights that the sobbing was so loud, I'd be like, we got to turn it up. Like moments like that, you just like, wow, these people connected with somebody that, we're talking liberal New York, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, it's a real woman. Like Barbara Bush had this horrible, horrible story. Dream, I mean, from a rock and roll aspect, I would love to do Tommy. When you see that show, that the first guitar chord in after the the 12-string stop, like that first guitar chord should, like, the audience should like fall backwards, and then pretty much anything Bernstein. Like I love a big orchestra, and I've had the pleasure of designing Candide, but like On the Town, where if you listen to his orchestrations, he's borrowing from Stravinsky, he's borrowing from everybody, and it's so complicated, except it's and it's a silly, sad little tale of these people in a town. But when you listen to the orchestrations, yeah, that's kind of my goal, like to do a show like that with just a giant orchestra. What drives me most as a sound designer is the lack of understanding of what we do, hence the Tony being removed and now coming back. Honestly, people still look at it as like we're magicians and these like tech guys back there with tubes and so it's very frustrating to me that we have these Groundhog Day scenario in every production where I feel like I have to inform everyone again the process and what we do. We all perceive it differently, and I understand, like, in the director's head it should sound like this because in their head that's how it always sounds, and the orchestrator hears this, and so we're serving all these masters. And sometimes it gets lost in the middle that I have to do my job as well to get there. And, it's a process for all of it. Well, why did it sound bad today? Well, it sounded bad today because Timmy's got a head cold and he can't sing. And Sherry is singing loud because she's not paying attention to the fact that Timmy can't. So we have to rebalance for this. And he sounds like he has a cold. He has a cold. So that part drives me crazy, where I'm like, oh God, like, isn't it obvious to you that I'm suffering as well? What keeps me up at night with sound design? I've never felt like I've had the perfect show, and if I did, I should quit because I'm lazy then. But I feel like there's always an improvement. I'll walk in and I'd be like, why didn't you put a speaker here? You knew this was going to be an issue, or there's a potential to it, but you thought. And so, like, I'm going back to London shortly to revisit Aladdin London, and something's been bothering me about that sound system since we opened, and I just didn't have the cajones to make the adjustment, and now I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. Like it's a little shift. Nobody else is gonna notice it except me and maybe my front of house engineer. But it's stuff like that where I'm like, oh man, you should have just done it while you were there and run with it for 2 shows. But now that it's open and there's no radar on, there's no crosshairs on me, I feel like I can go back and little adjustment here, little adjustment there. So that sort of stuff, I'll wake up, and my wife will tell you, I'll wake up at like 2 a.m. and have an idea and just write it down and go back to bed. And I'm like, okay, tomorrow sub-array is going to be trimmed at this height, because I'm always seeing triangles and things, and I'm like, you know what, if I lowered this 2 feet and move this there, then I don't have to put any time there, and I just write it down and go back to bed.